Sure that everything is working. I think we're going to get to that in just a second. Okay, there it is, huh? Now you can hear me. Great, 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 great. Awesome. Okay, now you can hear me. Okay, right. I think you can hear me now, sis. Okay, I think we're good now. So, excellent. So, in about 20 seconds, we're going to be talking about this very important theme. I was saying thank you for hanging in there with the audio. Sometimes it takes a second or two to get everything going because I'm always changing things and trying new things. So, sometimes things get out of whack. But in about 2 seconds, so here we go. Let's start this show. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Trig Podcast of Joy. Let me do another thing really quick before I forget. Okay, so now we're ready. Okay, so just one more time. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Trig Podcast of Joy, to GOZOtv, to Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Periscope Live, YouTube Live, wherever you're watching. I, by the way, recommend that you watch me on YouTube. The reason why, or Periscope, if you don't have that, you can just download it on Android or on Apple iPhone. Because the reason why I like Periscope and YouTube more than Facebook is because on Facebook it's impossible, pretty much, to find old videos if you want to go back. Assuming that you want to go back and find a record of these themes and of this content, I would recommend that you go to YouTube or even to my podcast, which is the audio version. The audio, I think, is also very, very useful because you don't have to stare at the screen. You know, you're at work or you're at home and you're doing other things. You don't want to have to always look at the screen. The podcast version, which is obviously the audio, is super simple. And so anyway, just a few ways that you can get this content that might be more convenient for you. If this works, then hey, that's fine too. To listen to the podcast, you can just go to my website, davidtrig.com/podcast, and you can then find all the links to hear just the audio version of this same content. So, but anyway, talking today about this very important topic, as I said, how do you wait on God? Or what do you do if you're tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired? By the way, let me check something really quick. The comments, I have this new thing here. It says that it's working on Periscope, so it seems like it's not quite working. This is supposed to be my comment cam so that you can see all of your comments right there on this screen, but I don't think that's working right now. So, well, we'll just keep trying different things. I had the other program that had the nice little comments here, and I like that too, but I'm trying something new. You know, always trying things. So let me tell you a story of why this topic came to mind, and then I want to give you some tips. Make sure that you share this video with your friends. Make sure that you watch this later tonight or when you're home or whatever, so that you can go back and review all of these awesome, awesome topics. So the way this came to mind is this way. Years ago, I had a friend, a mentor of mine, that was maybe in her 50s at the time. I was maybe 23, 25. I was a young man. And I remember her telling me that she had been praying for certain things, it didn't matter what it was, for 25 years. She would tell me that she was praying for things in her life or in church or I don't know what, for 20 years. And she was still waiting on the Lord and trusting that God would answer her prayers. That was radical for me. I didn't know what to even think of that. And honestly, when you're 20, you don't have a lot of things that you're praying for. At least I didn't. Maybe these days it's different, but I didn't have a lot of things that I was praying for. And definitely nothing so important to wait for 25 years. Then maybe it was 5 years ago, let's say. So all the way now to the last 5 years, there have been some things, and I won't get into it. It doesn't really matter what I've been praying for. It doesn't really matter because I want to teach you the lesson just for you, obviously, most of all. So let's say the last 5 years, I've also been praying for something, dealing just with church, the usual stuff, right? And I wouldn't say that I've been praying for 5 years in a very consistent way. And maybe that doesn't even matter. Maybe it's not about, are you consistently praying? Let's just put it this way. It's something that I know God wanted to do in my life and still wants to do in my life. And so it's been a want and a prayer. Let's just call it that. Now, so that was about 5 years ago. So maybe about 4 years ago, so just hang in there with me with the timeline. About 4 years ago, I had a friend tell me that basically, let's just put it this way, that he knew what I was praying for and that God was going to do that and that I had to ask more fervently, perhaps, that I had to ask more, ask more of God. Then I had other events and a bunch of other things. I won't bore you with everything. 2 years ago, I wanted to trust God for what I'd been praying for, but I felt afraid, I think would be the best way to put it. I wasn't sure if I could do what I've been praying for, even though I've been asking God for this thing to move in me and to do these things in my life. And so I've been waiting. And I would say I also gave in to fear for parts of that season, for certain months and maybe even a whole year. Then I had some, I would say, demonic attacks that would come against me to try to get me off track, to distract me from what I've been praying for. And I can pretty much guarantee, as much as I know, that what I've been praying for is something that God desires to do. Does he want to do it in me, through me? I don't know that, but I know that this is something that he does. It's his will. So that was a year ago, 2 years ago. In the last few months, so now let's say I've been praying for this for 5 years, right? In the last few months, without me looking for it, even maybe praying for it, God is in the middle of, even this last month, of answering that prayer. He's in the middle, 5 years later, of answering that prayer. So it didn't take me 25 years. And maybe there are some things that will take that long. I don't know. Maybe for you as well. But it's taken 5 years. And here's the difference. I haven't been doing all the work to try to manufacture what I want. Let's say I wanted a brand new car. That's not what I've been praying for. So just to put it into practical life, let's say you've been praying for a new car. I mean, it could be a husband, it could be a house, it could be a new job, it could be health from something that you're dealing with, whatever your prayer request is. Obviously, let's say you've been praying for something for 5 years, just like me, right? Well, there are times that you've probably given up, right? Because it just doesn't seem to happen. There are times that you've been doing it on your own, trying to make it happen. And then there are times when God just does it and God makes it happen, right? My GOZO bell. Do you know what I'm talking about, right? And I don't know how God works. There's no way anyone knows how God works. He works in mysterious ways. He works in different ways. But in this case, as with regards to my request, it's almost as if God is making it happen in spite of me. Now, here's what I can say. I've been ready for this. I've been wanting this for years, 5 years, maybe longer. I've been hungry for this. I know it's something that God desires. I don't know if he wants that in me, but I know that this is what he wants in the way he works because I've seen it before and I believe it. And I do believe that he wants to do that in me. So I want to show you a verse that I have here that I think is going to help you. Let's see here. See if I can get to it. Right here, this one. Look at here in Galatians 6, verse 9, here on the right of your screen. It says, carry one another's burdens. Verse 8, the one who sows to please his flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. But the one who sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Okay, so that's the foundation. What do you do if you've been waiting on God and nothing's happening? Look at what it says there. You have to keep sowing. Sowing means you plant. Sowing means that you keep working at it. But the way that you work on it is by working from a spiritual perspective, not from a fleshly perspective. And how do you know the difference? Well, are your actions hurting you and others, or are they blessing you and others? Is the person that you're going out with destroying your life or hurting or helping your life? Are the friendships that you have, are the choices that you make with your money, with your family, are they hurting you or are they blessing you? Are they destroying you or are they helping you? And that's what it says here. So now verse 9 though, because all of us can say, well, I've been trusting God, I've been waiting patiently, blah, blah, blah. Well, look at what it says here in verse 9. Let us not grow weary. This is the verse I wanted to give you. Let us not grow weary in doing well. Okay, I wanted to put myself there in the shot. Let us not grow weary in doing well or in well-doing. For in due time, there it is. There's the phrase. There's the gozo word of the day. In due time, we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to the family of faith. Are you tired of waiting on God? Here's what to do instead. Wait, keep going, and in due time, wait for the reward. In due time, nobody knows when that is. But what you and I have to do is to persevere. It's a test. There's no doubt it's a test to keep praying for something that you're not getting. And of course, it may not be God's will. And that's where people get really confused. And if I can say this, they become very selfish and very self-focused. They begin to wonder, is it me? Am I asking for the wrong thing? None of that matters. All that matters is verse 8. Are you investing? Are you planting things that are constructive? God will never answer a prayer that is destroying your life, that is emotional, that is based on just what you want and not based on what is going to help you and other people. Just think of how we are with our kids, right? We will say no and yes and no to them based on what? Simple. Will this help you from my perspective or not? Regardless of what you think. Why do we think that God thinks differently? He is the best father ever. Now, assuming that our request is something that God desires for us, then how long should you wait for? You should wait forever, as long as He wants. Because the timing belongs to God, not to you and me. The timing of when your request will come true, of when your prayer will be answered, is completely up to God. It's not up to you. What you can do, what we can do, is to persevere. And then to wait, it says on there, because in due time, what does that mean in due time? In due time, it means when the time is right. Stop asking God all these questions. Just basically leave it alone. Leave it alone. Stop asking God when. If I was God, just think of you as a parent. What is the worst thing that your child can ask you? Let's say if you're in the car and you're going somewhere. When are we going to get there? Why does that bother us so much? Because you have no control over how long it's going to take. Because you can't do much about traffic or about something being too far or about them being bored. You can't fix them. All that you can do is tell them, in due time, we will get there. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's my GOZO bell, right? In due time. It's completely up to the parent. And in many ways, it's not even up to you as a parent. It's up to traffic, your car. Are you tired? Are you hungry? Do you have to go to the bathroom? There are so many factors that go into knowing how long is this going to take? How long is this trip going to take, right? Now, God is a perfect father, but it's the same thing. God has to look at all of these different factors. What if he gives you what you've been praying for and it destroys and ruins your life, or it destroys and hurts the life of other people? Why would God want to do that? Why would he want to destroy your life? Why would he want to do something that you think is right, but he knows that it's not right? Stop asking God, is this the right prayer? Should I be asking for this? When is this going to happen? None of that matters. The proof is in the pudding. Is it happening or not? Are you willing to wait and to keep planting seeds of goodness? You can't expect God to bless you if you are destroying your life. You can't expect God to give you the answer to your prayer if you are harming yourself and taking matters into your own hands. You can't expect God to work in your life if you are going in the opposite direction of what he wants. Now, let's bring this down to earth. Let's say you want to be successful at your job or your career, and yet you're lying, you're stealing, you're being a gossiper, you're hating people. How can we expect God to do his work in and through us if we are planting seeds of destruction? Now, you might say, well, I'm not doing that. I'm doing everything right. Okay, if you are, which could be true, then the only thing that you can do is to keep going and to wait for God's timing and to stop asking him when, why, who, where, what. Stop it. Stop asking him all these questions that I would say mean very little to him. God never says, ask me questions. He says, ask, seek, knock. In other words, present your request to me. But we're the ones that get impatient and angry and rebellious, and so we just forget God, right? I mean, how many people forget God because God doesn't answer their prayers? Most people. How many Christians walk around with very little power in their lives because they are not waiting on God? Instead, they simply take matters into their own hands. Most people. But those that God blesses, the people that you see that are living lives of joy, of gozo, of power, and of fruitfulness are those that are waiting upon the Lord, because they're the ones, as Psalm 46 says, that will be raised up with wings as eagles. And as this verse says that I read, let me go back to it again. Galatians 6:9, verse 8 and 9. The one who sows to please his flesh or her flesh will reap destruction. But the one who sows to please God or the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not grow weary then in doing well. For in due time, that's the key right there, we will reap a harvest. Now, I love that passage because it's talking about planting, let's just say, corn. I'm not a farmer, but obviously we all have seen how things work. I had corn in my backyard. Can you believe it? I planted corn in my backyard. Corn. Yes, corn. I had a friend who helped me. I mean, to start from seeds, from the actual dirt. I didn't go to the store and buy just some corn on the cob or some popcorn. I had a friend who knew all about corn, helped me plant corn. In about 6 months, we had these stalks of corn taller than me. 8-9 feet tall. And we had this sweet corn that to this day, I just still can't believe that we had corn in my own backyard here at home. I don't live, in the boonies. I live here in the middle of the city. So it's not common to have corn, right? For most of us in our homes. Or if you live in an apartment, of course, even worse. Now, what I learned from this man, he had been planting corn and all these other things for 40, 50 years. You know what I learned? First, how you have to be so careful and detailed with everything. You can't just throw a bunch of seeds out there. You have to get the soil ready. You have to protect it from the birds. You have to put scarecrows and string around it so that we have a dog, so that our dog wouldn't step all over the seeds. You have to water it. Then when it begins to grow, you have to get rid of the bugs that eat the corn. But you know what was the biggest lesson besides all that, which I expected, was how long it took. It took months. Because I was a rookie. I was, okay, like, I want my corn, right? I want to eat that corn. I'm not interested in waiting. I'm not interested in how long it's going to take. All that's in my head, because we're human and because we're selfish, is when am I going to eat my corn? When am I going to put that corn in my soup, right? La carne de res. You just want the results, right? You just want that husband. You want that money. You want that job. You want that blessing. Come on, God, hurry up. What's going on here? But what did this man teach me? You have to wait, bro. You have to wait. You can't rush corn. Corn just takes its darn time. In due time, we reaped an amazing harvest. I never planted corn again because I'm not a farmer. But the lesson was clear. In due time. So here's my question for you. What is that one thing that you need to just keep waiting for and believe that in due time, God will give to you? What's that thing? And then most of all, not just what is that thing, but do you believe in your heart that that thing is of God? That person, that job, that career, that new place to live. Do you believe in your heart that that is from God? Now, let me say this. There is no way to know. There is so much gray area, and here it is. Most of us think that what we want is of God, right? Can you say, duh, right? Have you ever said to yourself, okay, this is not of God? Of course not. You think that everything that you want is God's will. Until you look back and you messed up that marriage, you screwed up that boss, you hung out with the wrong people, you destroyed your body. And then looking back, what do you say? I guess that wasn't the right thing to do. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. But most of us think that everything we want is God's will. And don't ask me, is this God's will? I don't know. Are you kidding me? Do you think I know? I have no idea. I don't have no crystal ball. Nobody does. Stop wasting your time asking God, is this your will? Look at the proof. Is that decision destroying your life? Is it adding stress, anxiety, and fear to your life? Are your friends, people that love you, telling you, what are you doing? Do you have a conscience? Is God telling you in your heart, his conviction of the Holy Spirit, saying, what are you doing? You're going down the wrong path. Now, you can still disobey God, which is what we do. God can't stop you. You want to destroy your life? With that man? With that baby daddy? With that job? With that stuff you're buying, going into debt on about? Go ahead, is what God says. You're going to reap what you sow. But God says, if the results are good, if you're continuing to do this thing and you're being faithful and you know it's something that there's blessing and you've seen God work in this in other places and other people, and it still isn't happening, then two things: keep going and wait for time. Wait for God's timing. Keep going, wait for God's timing. So here's my question to you. I want to say hello to Amanda, to Jose, to Larry, and to Kenya. Greetings to you guys. Leave me a comment. Say hello. Hola. ¿Cómo están? Make sure that you leave me a comment. It helps the Facebook algorithm to get this video in front of more people, so we have 4, 5, 10 people watching this live every day. Here every day, Monday through Thursday, about 8 a.m. or so. Today's a little later. And then Fridays at 8 en español. Are you tired of waiting on God? Two things. Keep waiting. It's up to God. Keep working. It's up to God. And here's my question. What is that one area in your life that you need to examine? Is this really what God would want? Ask yourself, God, is this something that you want for me? Of course you think he does. Of course. You're going to say, well, of course he does. Well, how do you know? Look at the results. Look at what's happening out here. Is there a blessing or is there destruction? It's that simple. You're in a new you're in a new job in a new city and you're wondering, is this God's will? Is there a blessing or destruction? Even if it's small blessing, even if it's small, God is blessing it. That's the test. Like with the corn, it took forever, but every day, un poquito más, the corn kept growing. Even though there were bugs and birds and whatever, in due time, I ate that corn on the cob and I had my sopa de res. It was awesome. What is that one thing? Stop being such an idiot. Stop being so complicated. Stop being a fool. If you haven't heard my podcast on Don't Be a Fool, go back to davidtrig.com and look for the word fool. Listen to that podcast. It's awesome. Stop being a fool. What is a fool? Someone who's seeing destruction around them and thinks it's a blessing. That's called being a fool. Are you in a marriage with some idiot and everything around you is just destruction, and you're still there? I get it. Oh, well, this and that. But stop wasting your time asking God to bless that horrible marriage or that horrible relationship. You have to do something and begin to work towards obeying God and being in God's will. It's hard. I know that. For me, it's been hard to wait on this prayer request that I've had for maybe it's even longer than 5 years. But if my friend could wait 25, and maybe God has answered her prayer, I don't know. I don't see her much anymore. Maybe you and I can wait a little bit longer if you're seeing fruitfulness around you, if you're seeing positive results around you, even if it's small fruit. Well, guys, make sure that you leave me a hello. Remember that the best thing you can do for me, if you want to help me, if you want to give me something back, we're not going to take an offering. I don't want your money. What I want is your thumbs. Say hello in the comments. Say hola, ¿cómo está? Blah, blah, blah. No entendí sopa, dice Kenia. Los viernes en español. Entonces sí. Un comentario, leave me a comment. That's what helps me the most. Nothing, don't pay me. I don't want money. No thumbs, don't give me thumbs or hearts. None of that helps me. The only thing that helps Facebook and that helps me is if you write something down, even if it's hi, ho ho, ha ha, adios, hola, whatever it is, no entiendo nada, good morning, hello David. It doesn't even matter if you do it now or later tonight. That's the only way that we're going to get past 10 views and 20 views and 3 people watching, is if you type something, help me, so that this message can go out to more people. The second thing you can do is share this video with everyone. Just simply press share and go out to people. Put a little comment there. Say, oh, hola, ¿cómo están? Esto es muy bueno. Me gustó. Véanlo. If you just share it, people just don't care. Write something personal, how it hit you. Or you can just say, hey, this is my friend, whatever. But make it personal. I think that's even more powerful. Well, thank you guys. Make sure that you come back here every day, Monday through Friday. Fridays en español. The rest of the time in English, 8 a.m. Pacific, más o menos. Thank you guys. Thanks so much for your kindness, your support, and I will see you next time. Adios.